Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, today we're tackling something that trips up a lot of people every single year during open enrollment. HSA versus FSA. Health savings account, flexible spending account.
Yeah, and look, this isn't just about picking a benefit. It's really a fundamental financial choice. We're comparing, well, two very different animals here. One's a short-term tool, the other. Honestly, maybe the best investment account the tax code offers.
Exactly. And we've got the final IRS numbers for 2026 all lined up. So our mission today is to cut through the jargon, use these real figures, and help you figure out which one actually fits your money situation, your goals,
Right. The biggest difference boils down to, like, ownership and how long it lasts. The FSA, the flexible spending account, that's an annual thing. It's tied to your employer. They technically own it.
And it's mostly for predictable costs within that 1 year.
Right. Precisely. Think glasses, dental cleanings, co-pays are coming. But the HSA, the health savings account, that's totally different. It's a personal account, like a bank account mixed with an investment account.
And crucially, it's yours. It goes with you if you change jobs, retire, whatever, and no use it or lose it deadline. That's huge.
Absolutely huge. But there's a big but. There's a gate you have to pass through to even get an HSA.
The health plan itself.
Yeah, you must be enrolled in what's called a high deductible health plan, an HDHP. That means, you're paying the first chunk of medical costs yourself, could be thousands, before the main insurance kicks in.
Okay, but here's where I see people get confused. There's this eligibility trap, right? Even with an HDHP, you can accidentally disqualify yourself from putting money into the HSA. How does that usually happen?
It's this concept the IRS calls other coverage. Basically, if you have any other health plan that pays for medical stuff before you've met that high deductible on your HDHP, you're out. No HSA contributions allowed for that period.
And the classic example is a spouse's plan.
That's the most common one, yeah. You're on your HDHP, maybe through work, but your spouse has a traditional PPO or HMO, maybe a lower deductible plan, and they add you to it. Boom. That PPO coverage disqualifies you from the HSA contribution.
Even if you never use the PPO.
Doesn't matter. Just having access to that first dollar coverage is enough. And another one, less common, but still pops up. If your spouse has a general purpose FSA, not a limited one, but a regular one, and it could be used to cover your medical bills, that also disqualifies you.
Wow, okay. So you really need only the HDHP covering your general medical stuff.
That's the rule. Now, assuming you are eligible, let's talk about why the HSA gets financial folks so excited. It's famous for this triple tax advantage.
Right. Tax-free contributions, tax-free growth, tax-free withdrawals from medical.
That's the core trio. 1, money goes in pre-tax, or you deduct it. 2, it grows completely tax-free inside the account. No taxes on interest, dividends, capital gains. 3, you pull it out for qualified medical expenses, QMEs, totally tax-free.
But I heard you mention earlier there's kind of a hidden fourth advantage.
Ah, yes, the bonus round. When you contribute through payroll deduction at work, that money also avoids FICA taxes. That's the 7.65% for Social Security and Medicare.
Which doesn't happen with a 401k contribution, does it?
Generally, no. That FICA avoidance is pretty unique to HSA payroll contributions. So yeah, it's arguably a quadruple tax advantage. It really juices the savings.
Okay, and when we say qualified medical expenses, QMEs, what all does that cover now? Because that changed a few years back, didn't it?
It did, thankfully. The CARES Act made some helpful expansions permanent. Big ones are over-the-counter meds, think pain relievers, allergy pills, cold medicine. You don't need a prescription anymore.
That's convenient.
Very. And feminine hygiene products are also permanently eligible now, too. This applies for both HSAs and FSAs, by the way. Makes it easier to use the funds.
Good to know. So shifting gears a bit, thinking long term, the HSA isn't just for current medical bills, is it? It has this whole other life as like a retirement account.
Exactly. This is where it gets really powerful. Think of it like this. Once you hit age 65, a switch flips. The 20% penalty if you take money out for non-medical reasons, that goes away.
So after 65, you can use it for, say, travel or home repairs.
You absolutely can. It basically works like a traditional 401k or IRA at that point for non-medical withdrawals. You just pay regular income tax on the money you take out for general living expenses.
And this is the key part.
But it keeps its superpower for medical stuff. Any withdrawals for QMEs remain 100% tax-free, even in retirement. And that includes things like Medicare premiums, Parts A, B, D, even some Advantage plan premiums. That's a huge retirement cost it can cover tax-free.
And unlike those 401ks and IRAs, no forced withdrawals later in life.
Correct. No required minimum distributions, RMDs. Your HSA money can just sit there and potentially keep growing tax-free forever if you don't need it. It's incredible flexibility.
It sounds almost too good to be true. Is there a catch? I feel like there's got to be a catch.
Well, there's one significant complication for some folks. State taxes.
Ah, right. Not all states play by the same rules.
Unfortunately, no. Currently, California and New Jersey are the main exceptions. They don't conform to the federal tax treatment of HSAs. So for residents there, your contributions are still subject to state income tax, and any earnings inside the HSA, interest, dividends, gains, are also taxed by the state each year.
Ouch. That definitely makes the math harder and, well, reduces the benefit quite a bit for people in those states. They basically have to track things separately for federal and state taxes.
It's a real headache.
Yeah.
Something you absolutely need to factor in if you live there.
Okay, let's pivot back to the FSA then. We know its big weakness is that use it or lose it rule. Given that and the power of the HSA, why would someone who is eligible for an HSA ever choose just an FSA? Or even bother with an FSA at all?
That's a fair question. The FSA has one specific tactical edge, a powerful one in certain situations. It's called the uniform coverage rule.
Okay, uniform coverage. What does that mean in practice, like day to day?
It means the entire amount you elect for the year, let's use the 2026 max, $3,400, that full amount has to be available to you from day one of the plan year, January 1st.
Even though you haven't actually put that much money in yet through payroll deductions.
Exactly. So imagine you elect $3,400. On January 15th, you get a LASIK surgery costing $3,000. Your FSA has to pay that $3,000 reimbursement right away, even if you've only contributed, say, $150 so far.
Yeah.
It's like an interest-free loan from your employer for those big planned early-in-the-year expenses.
Ah, I see. The HSA doesn't work like that. You can only spend what's actually in the HSA account at that moment.
Correct. So for that big upfront cost, the FSA gives you immediate liquidity the HSA can't match.
Okay, that makes sense for specific scenarios. But back to that use it or lose it risk. How do employers usually soften that blow? Are there ways to avoid forfeiting everything?
Yeah, the IRS allows employers to offer one of two options to help out, but not both. Option one is a grace period, usually 2.5 months. So you get until March 15th of the following year to incur new eligible expenses and use up the prior year's funds.
So more time to spend it. What's option two?
Option two is a carryover. They can let you carry forward a certain amount of unused funds into the next plan year. For plans starting in 2026, that maximum carryover amount is indexed to inflation, and it's going up to $680.
$680. So anything above that $680 you didn't spend or didn't spend during the grace period, if they offer that instead, is just gone.
Gone. Forfeited back to the employer. That's the risk.
Okay, let's nail down all these 2026 numbers. You mentioned the FSA carryover. What about the main contribution limits the IRS just finalized?
Right. Revenue Procedure 2025-19 gave us the official figures. For HSAs in 2026, the maximum contribution if you have self-only HDHP coverage is $4,400. That's up $100.
Okay. And for families?
For family HDHP coverage, the max contribution jumps to $8,750. That's a $200 increase.
And the catch-up for older folks?
That stays the same. If you're 55 or older, you can still add an extra $1,000 catch-up contribution to your HSA.
Got it. And the maximum employee contribution to a health FSA for 2026?
That also got a $100 bump, up to $3,400.
Okay, $3,400 for the FSA. Now, I want to circle back to the HDHP rules themselves for a second, because looking at these numbers, the maximum HSA contribution versus the maximum risk in an HDHP, there seems to be a deliberate gap.
Ah, you're noticing the structural design. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's take the self-only plan for 2026. The absolute maximum out-of-pocket limit an HDHP can have is $8,500.
Right, $8,500 is the most I might have to spend. But wait, you just said the max I can contribute to my HSA that year is only $4,400.
Exactly.
So there's a $4,100 difference there. I can't possibly cover my worst-case scenario in 1 year just with that year's HSA money. What's the IRS telling us with that structure?
They're telling you structurally that the HSA is not primarily designed as a one-year emergency fund for healthcare. That gap forces the issue. It means you need the rollover feature. You need funds accumulated from previous years, plus hopefully investment growth, to reliably cover that maximum out-of-pocket risk.
So the structure itself points towards long-term savings and investment.
Precisely. It mathematically reinforces that the HSA's core purpose, from the IRS's design perspective, is long-term accumulation and investment, not just short-term budgeting.
Okay, that clarifies the philosophy behind it. So for someone who gets that, they're on an HDHP, they want the long-term HSO growth, but maybe they also have predictable dental or vision costs every year. Is there a way to get the best of both worlds, use both accounts without breaking the rules?
Yes. This is where we get into the, let's call it the advanced play, the tax stacking strategy. It uses a special type of FSA.
Not the general one that disqualifies you.
Correct. It uses something called a limited purpose FSA, or LPFSA.
Limited purpose? How is that different? Why is that one okay to have alongside an HSA?
Because its scope is, well, limited. An LPFSA can only be used to reimburse eligible dental and vision expenses. That's it. No general medical costs allowed.
Ah, so because it doesn't cover general medical, it doesn't count as that disqualifying other coverage we talked about earlier.
Exactly right. It neatly sidesteps the rule. It doesn't provide those first dollar general medical benefits before the HDHP deductible is met.
Okay, so who is this perfect for? Someone on an HDHP who maybe needs expensive glasses every year or has kids in orthodontia.
Perfect examples. If you have consistent, predictable, significant dental or vision costs, the LPFSA is tailor-made for you while you're also maximizing your HSA.
So walk me through the optimal strategy for, say, a family in that situation in 2026.
Okay, optimal play. First, they contribute the absolute maximum allowed to their HSA. For family coverage in 2026, that's $8,750. That's their long-term investment bucket.
Got it. Max the HSA for growth.
Then, they also contribute the maximum allowed to a limited-purpose FSA. For 2026, that's $3,400. This bucket is purely for those planned dental and vision expenses they know they'll have during the year.
So $8,750 in the HSA plus $3,400 in the LPFSA.
Wait, that's added up. That's a total of $12,150 going into tax-advantaged accounts in a single year.
$12,150. All avoiding income tax and most of it avoiding FICA taxes, too. That's incredible leverage.
It really is. You're perfectly segmenting your money. You use the use it or lose it LPFSA funds for the expenses you know are coming anyway, freeing up every single dollar in your HSA to stay invested and compound for the long haul. It's the best of both worlds if you qualify and have those specific expenses.
Okay, so let's try to boil this down. As you're sitting there looking at your benefits options for next year, how do you decide?
It really comes down to your situation and maybe your financial personality. If you're younger, generally healthy, comfortable with that higher deductible risk on the HDHP, the HSA is almost certainly your best bet for that long-term tax-free compounding. It's hard to beat.
Makes sense. What about someone more cautious?
If you're more risk-averse, maybe you have predictable health issues, or you just prefer the lower deductible of a traditional PPO or HMO plan, then you can't get the HSA anyway. In that case, the general-purpose FSA is still a solid tactical move. You get that upfront tax break, both income and FICA, on money you plan to spend on healthcare regardless.
Just got to be careful not to overfund it and lose money.
Exactly. Estimate carefully. And the third profile.
The family we just talked about. High dental, high vision costs, but on an HDHP.
For them, that HSA plus LPFSA combo is clearly the optimal path for 2026. Maximize both if you can. The overall message, though, especially with the HSA, is think long-term.
The power is really unlocked over decades, not just 1 year.
Absolutely. And speaking of that long-term view, there's one final kind of ultimate HSA strategy for the truly patient investor. Some people call it the shoebox strategy.
The shoebox strategy. Okay, I'm intrigued. Sounds very low-tech.
Well, the concept is simple, but the execution requires discipline. Instead of reimbursing yourself from your HSA each time you have a qualified medical expense, you pay for it out of pocket with regular after-tax money.
Okay, so you're paying taxes on that money first. Why do that?
Because while you're paying out of pocket, you meticulously save every single receipt for those qualified medical expenses. Put them in a literal shoebox or a digital folder, whatever works. You do this for years, maybe decades.
While leaving the HSA untouched.
Completely untouched. You let 100% of your HSA contributions stay invested, compounding completely tax-free for, say, 20 or 30 years. You're prioritizing maximum investment growth over immediate reimbursement.
Okay, so you have this giant pile of receipts and hopefully a much larger HSA balance down the road. Then what?
Then, when you retire, or whenever you decide you want the money, you tally up all those saved receipts from the past decades. Let's say it adds up to $50,000 in accumulated unreimbursed QMEs. You can then submit those old receipts to your HSA administrator.
And they'll reimburse you years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
They will allow you to withdraw up to that $50,000 total from your HSA, completely tax-free, because you have the proof you incurred those expenses. You're essentially using your past medical bills as a key to unlock decades of tax-free investment gains for any purpose you want in retirement, tax-free up to the amount of the receipts.
Wow, so you turn past paid-for medical costs into a giant tax-free withdrawal from your supercharged investment account. That's quite a long game.
It's the ultimate long game for the HSA. A powerful thought to consider as you weigh your choices not just for 2026, but for the decades ahead.